blank mold off of this bowl, not this one, but this shape of bowl. And then I use my, that circle loop tool to remove those little bumps on there, and then I fill those bumps in with glass. So that one was reductive. I don't have an additive one. Oh, this one is additive. So this is actually, I use a little bit of clay on the outside of a manufactured bowl to get that sort of subtle pattern in there. So really the results are comparable. It's mostly about the way that you think you like to work better.
Is draft an issue?
Draft will be less of an issue today. The bowl itself, the shape itself, has enough draft to pop out. If you are going to add clay, what's going to happen is the bowl will pop out and the clay is flexible, so you'll be able to kind of wiggle that out to remove it. We do have some design restrictions. Everything needs to be close to the surface of the bowl, so you can't add handles because it won't work. So if your shape is like this and you decide that you do want to add, let's say, sunflower leaves, is that okay if I just talk about your sample? Okay. So you're going to go in and you'll apply your leaves to the surface of the bowl. Yours will look much nicer. And maybe you decide to do some leaves on the bottom. Your leaves have to stay close to the surface of the bowl. They can't come out like this. Does that make sense? And the reason for that is because once you cover this with plaster and you remove the bowl, the only access point to those leaves is going to be right here, right? So all you'll see is a little circle where they're connected. It's impossible to remove the clay from that, right? Because your only access is here. You've got stuff all the way down here. You can't get it out. The other reason is that even if you were able to get the clay out, you can't get the glass in, right? So you could pack it, but you could probably only pack about that much. And the frit does have to be compressed. If it is not compressed, it doesn't sinter. So, does that make sense to everyone? Mm-hmm. And the same is true for handles. So if you made a bowl and you wanted these really great handles on it, you are going to run into the same issue. Your access point to that clay is only going to be where it's connected to the bowl.
Could you make it a solid ear? And it sticks out just a little bit,
If
maybe?
it sticks out a little bit, yeah. And we can talk about that as you go along, because there are some things that you can get away with. Mm-hmm. There are other things that you cannot get away with. This is one of them. So you can't get the clay out, and then you could probably pack the glass in, but what will happen is this stuff here will be too loose, and what you'll end up with is something that looks like this, probably. Mm-hmm. Like a little bit here and a little bit here. And there was glass in here, but it's not stuck to itself. So keep that in mind as you design. And I do, did you say does it have to have draft? It does not have to have a whole lot of draft, but it does have to be kind of a relief design. Not anything that's too three-dimensional. Overly three-dimensional. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. Now the other thing that I want to let you know about this is that these, and you'll see it with your tile, when these are packed in and fired, they're going to compress. And with a three-dimensional shape like this, they'll compress both. It'll get skinnier, thinner, the walls get thinner, but it'll also compress down with gravity. So you're going to lose the top ½ inch of your bowl, right? So this mold was made off of this bowl. I filled it all the way up. When it compressed, I lost that sort of, what is that? That is about ½ inch, right? Now, that does not mean that your powder is going to move, or your design. Your color is going to stay where you place it. That does not move with gravity. It's only the mass, the clear glass backing it up. What it does mean for you is when you design your pattern, you need to account for that shrinkage. So do not put any pattern here. If your leaf comes all the way up to this edge, you can pack it. You can do a perfect job packing it. You are still going to lose that tip of your leaf all the way around, which maybe is okay if you plan for it, but I don't want anybody to have any surprises. Okay? Any questions so far about that? Okay. So when you go to place your glass into these bowls to pack them, packing becomes much more important So we'll do another demo on filling the backing material, the fine frit, into this shape after lunch. It's going to be similar, but not the same. Okay? I won't re-demo how to get the colored powder in, if that will be exactly the same.
And we can use the sifting method with that
You
as well?
absolutely can use the sifting method with that as well. Okay?
Jesse, so what is the actual procedure? We first make our design, then
So what we're going to do now is I'm going to run through it in the actual mold, so I'll make a mold over this bowl. So I'm going to do a very short design here. It's going to be really, really nice. So you will, of course, spend a little more time with this. Or maybe you won't. Maybe you'll decide you want to carve it. That's fine, too. So you would apply your clay to the surface of your bowl. Push it in and make sure that it's adhered. You could go in and add a bunch of pattern to it if you wanted to. Oh my gosh, this is a masterpiece. Okay, so I'm finished. And you can see I've already made a mistake. So I haven't accounted for that ½ inch, right? For this guy, this was filled up too, and you can see actually probably is just about the same. But that's okay because it's my first bowl and I'm going to make mistakes. So I would have rolled out a snake, set the snake up in a circle. I'm going to place my bowl on top of it and push down a little bit. And then I'll roll the clay over to make sure that I am stuck onto my piece of plastic here. So this is my setup for today. I'm centered in the middle of my plastic. I'm not off to one side or the other. We're going to give you a really nice pink piece of plastic today that are a little bigger. Now I do that so that my bowl is stuck to my base. I'm actually going to make the mold right over this. And I want it stuck to a base because if I start to apply my plaster over this and it's not stuck to anything, it's going to slide around and we're going to have issues knowing sort of what's happening under the plaster, basically. Everybody with me so far? Okay. So now I am pretty much ready and I'm going to wait for 2 of my other classmates to be ready as well, and then the 3 of us are going to go into the mold room to make our molds with Jessie or Kat. And we'll partner up for this because it is a little easier if you've got a couple of people together, kind of working together to remember all the steps, because there will be a few. All right, so I'm going to have you all grab your masks, put your masks on.